Just like old times, you guys. 6:44 in the AM. You know what that is back there. That's the Bellagio poker room. Just leaving the Bellagio poker room. Had ourselves a proper poker session over here at the Bellagio. Currently the wee hours, as we've all come to know and love. I thought we would kick this video off by diving right in, directly into some poker hands, and just recap this session. There's going to be a couple other things to talk about along the way or afterwards. Might as well just dive right in here. So yeah, the session didn't really start off too hot for me. I guess you could say that was somewhere around the neighborhood of 100% my fault. Not a whole lot to speak of in the early going as far as premium cards, but that didn't stop me from opening up a hand such as 3 deuce of diamonds after it folds around to me on the button. Make a standard raise of 3 times the big blind. We're playing 5-10 here. I make it 30 to go from the button. Only the big blind makes the call. So we are going heads up to the flop with this premium hand. The flop does not improve us whatsoever. So after he checks it to me, obviously no showdown value here with the 3 high. We do have some backdoor possibilities with backdoor diamond draw, so I decided to put out a bet. Unfortunately, my opponent makes the call, but we do turn some equity with a king of diamonds showing up on the turn. Checks it over to me, and I'm going to go for more pressure here. I don't expect that king to improve him too often unless he happens to have the king high flush draw. So I'm going to put in a bet, and I make a pretty big bet here. Unfortunately, my opponent doesn't even hesitate, makes another call, and we're off to a river card, which pairs the board. Checks it over to me one more time, and seeing as how we have beautiful hands such as 3 high, I don't want to show this one down. I want to try and find a way to win it. I'm going to go ahead and put in another bet of $300 here on the river. My opponent doesn't think for any time whatsoever once again, makes the call. So I announce 3 high. He announces that's no good and shows us the proof with king 10. Flop top pair, turn 2 pair. The 2 pair is going to beat 3 high even to this day. After all these years, they haven't changed the rule where 3 high is not a very good hand. Coming at you guys from downtown Las Vegas here at Public Us Coffee Shop, Coffee House. Coffee Shop or Coffee House? I don't know if I have a list of favorite coffee shops around town, but if I did, not only coffee available, but beers available as well. We've actually been here once before, at least once. Anyway, when I last left you guys, I was coming at you from Michigan. Back in Vegas now though, and looking forward to getting back on the grind here. Looking forward to putting in some hours at the poker table, which will happen very soon, very shortly. But before that, when I last left you guys at the end of the last proper vlog, that almost 30-minute vlog, we got into a somewhat cryptic conversation where we were talking about finding the balance between work life and life. And not only those 2 lives, but also all the different work lives that come along with creating content. And it's been something that's been a bit of a struggle for me. Not something that's been a negative, I would say, since starting the channel has been so awesome and connecting with all you guys via this platform. But just trying to figure out how to keep growing and how to keep moving. Not only with growing poker, moving up in stakes and studying poker, but also doing this thing, all this recording that goes along with it. And then after the fact, all the editing, all the messaging that goes along with that on all the different platforms, keeping in touch with you guys as much as possible, doing all those things like meetup games, and even lately started dabbling into this whole live streaming thing. So again, the question comes up, how can I create a sense of balance between all these different endeavors, particularly the 2 main endeavors, which are grinding poker, putting in all those hours, and creating content and everything that goes along with that. How can I scale everything? That's the question. How can we scale everything with such limited time? There's only 24 hours in a day, and being only one person manning this content creation operation. I can't add more hours into the day, and I can't duplicate myself. I think there's clearly only one option here, and I think we've come to the point where the best option is to bring someone else into the fold, into this operation.
What's up, guys?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jason Somerville. He's here, he's in the flesh. He's in downtown Las Vegas, believe it or not.
Yeah, for like the first time in like 10 years. Here I am. For a very special occasion, announcement. Dude, I'm so excited about this partnership. I have been a fan of yours for a long time. I admire so much what you've done, what you've created. You've been a pioneer in on YouTube, making the amazing vlogs. You do better than anybody else, and now I think together we're going to take things to a new level, combine forces, and I can't wait for what we're going to do next.
It's a little bit surreal to hear this guy just saying all these super nice things, super kind things.
I'm a very good hype man, by the way. That's the thing you'll see about me. I'm very good at that.
You're definitely good. You're definitely good at what you do, and I've known that for several years now, having seen you do your thing on different platforms. Started on YouTube, I think.
I did indeed.
Before getting into the Twitch streets, and
that's true.
Been watching you for years. So it's great to be sitting here with you. And so what does this mean? This means that we are sort of announcing a partnership here. It's a partnership across platforms.
To me, I think that all I want to do is help you be more successful. I'm not looking to, I want to take what you're doing and make more of it. Make it as best as we can for the fans. You know, if you're already a fan of Andrew's, you're only going to love him more, if such things are even possible. And I want to help you also come over to Twitch. I want to do some streams together. You know, one of the coolest things about our partnership and you joining Team Run It Up is that you're here in Vegas. Everybody else on my team is everywhere else. So you and I can do so much more together. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, about what we already have in planned out. So I'm really excited about what we can do together in terms of content, both on Twitch and on YouTube. One of the things that's crazy to me as a fan of yours was that you do all the video editing yourself.
Yep.
Which is crazy. It's so much energy and so much time. And I think that, and I know that you would put out so many more videos if you had a crack editing team that was at least helping you. You know, you direct the vision. You tell the artists what to make. I'm not saying make new artists. You just have to be the boss artist, you know?
This is all sounding great to me. I hope it's sounding great to you guys. So just officially put it out there. I will be joining the dream team that is Jason Somerville and the rest of the crew at Team Run It Up. He will be joining Team Favorable, even though there's no actual official thing that is Team Favorable, but
we'll be doing so many cool things together. I can't wait. You know, like I've learned a lot about what it takes to run a good Twitch stream. You obviously know what it takes to run an amazing YouTube channel, and so I think the forces of us together in live events and content on Twitch, on YouTube, I think it's going to be amazing. I think the fans are going to really love it.
I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting down to work. We're not going to just tell you everything that we're going to do right now. We'd rather just kind of show you guys as it unfolds.
A couple of pork chops though for the fans. You know,
there you go.
This is pork chop in sign language, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Probably know.
But yeah, the fans know, I'm sure.
And if not, they're going to learn as we go.
Exactly. You know, doing all sorts of things: graphics, video editing, merchandise, production. We're doing all suite, everything a content creator needs. Because I learned what resources you need, all the lessons that I gathered from a streamer. I said I want to take this and bring this to everybody else, and that's how we're here working together. And that's the exact pitch that I made to you, 9 times before you said yes. And now here we are. And so I want to do all that stuff with you. I want to help you come to Twitch, make that as successful as can be. And also, things like Run It Up Reno that we have been doing now. We've done 9 Run It Up Renos. You do a ton of these meetup games. I want to combine forces in all of these ways. So I know you're coming to Run It Up Reno for the second time. You were awesome having there the first time. So you're going to come back October 19th to 29th. We're going to be doing live streams. You're going to be vlogging. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Yep. You guys can find out more about that at runitupreno.com.
This is what you can do. You put a link down below.
Boom. It's amazing. Yeah, that's a cool thing. See, on Twitch we can't do that. So the other cool thing is, you have done an amazing job creating these meetup games, and it's amazing to see how many people show up to hang out with you in all these places around Earth. Now, I don't really like to travel around Earth as much as you do, but here in Las Vegas...
Good news. We are both here in Las Vegas. Speaking of, today is Monday. I believe as you're watching this, most of you, this Wednesday, this guy will be attending his very first official meetup game. We'll both be there. 7 p.m. at the Westgate on Wednesday.
I'm very excited, and the Westgate loves me because I've only lost tens of thousands of dollars at their sportsbook, so they're going to roll out the red carpet for us.
Fantastic.
Even more so than they usually would.
All right, well, what else? Anything else you want to touch on?
I just think that, I'm really excited about this. There are so many cool things we can do together. You've done a great job with Favorable. I want to help you do more of that stuff.
Okay, speaking of, before you go any further, I do have something for you.
Oh, here we go.
Give me 1 second.
Uh-oh, here it is.
Look at this, guys.
Whoa. Whoa.
Look at that.
That's how you know official.
If
If only I brought something back for you. Now I just look like a
I want to show you a cool YouTube trick that you can do.
Yeah.
Like right here.
Yeah.
And then we're going to show you a really cool way to put this hat on, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Wow.
Look at that.
Amazing.
Look at that.
Amazing.
You can't do that on Twitch.
Can't do that on Twitch at all.
Only put your hat on that way on YouTube.
No,
so
that's right.
Jason will be partially doing things front and center like this. We're doing lots of things together, as well as lots of things behind the scenes, and hopefully just keep this this vlog machine churning as much as possible, and then dipping into the Twitch streets along the way too.
Yeah, so I think the plan is for us to do a stream sometime next week. We'll figure out the details of when, but I would love for you to either come to our studio, we'll come to you, and then we'll be able to launch the stream, and that'll be so much fun. We'll stream together, hang out, play some poker.
So do you know what this is?
Alcohol.
This is celebratory alcohol.
Celebratory alcohol. No, is that proper 12?
You don't get one of these.
I don't get one of these.
Grab that. He's got a lot of editing to do, so he can't have this.
No, my day is just beginning. Yeah, there you go.
Cheers.
Cheers for sure.
Less than stellar start, you could say, for us in this 510 session back at the Bellagio. Not a very warm welcome for us. It's been a little while since we put in a 510 session over here at the Bellagio, but immediately reloading, here to play a proper session. So that's what I do, reload for the maximum up to 1500 and get moved off of the must move and into a main game shortly after that. On the main table, we see a much warmer welcome. We look down at pocket aces, our very first hand. There's a straddle on and we raise it up from the cutoff. We make it $60 to go. Only the straddler makes the call. So we're going heads up to a rather favorable flop of ace 8-5 with 2 diamonds, so top set. He checks it over to me, and my opponent is a pretty solid player. I don't expect him to have a super wide range there. I decided to play a little bit tricky and deceptive. I decide to just check it back since we blocked some decent percentage of his calling range, even though it is kind of a wet flop with a flush draw and straight draws available, but I decided to check it back. The turn fills us up right away. It's another 5. Checks it over to me again. Have to bet now. I bet $40. Pretty small bet. Interesting news though, my opponent puts in a raise and he makes it, I think, $150 to go. I don't think there's too much point doing anything other than making the call, and the river is perfect for us. It's a total brick. It's an offsuit 3. My opponent bets pretty sizable. He bets 400 and something. I want to say about 450 or 460. I only have somewhere around $1,000, so there's only one move here and it's all in. My opponent snap calls, and after I show, he shows us pocket 8s, so very much a cooler situation there. Nothing my opponent's gonna be able to do there. Certainly unfortunate for him, but very fortunate for us. Pocket aces, very first hand, doubling up our stack right away. Next fun hand comes when there are 2 limpers over to me on the button. I look down at king 5 of diamonds. Happy to just limp along here. I don't think I need to raise it and isolate with the king 5. Happy to take this one multi-way, and we're on the button. So I go ahead and over limp, and the small blind puts in a raise, makes it $40 to go. So pretty small raise from that spot after a bunch of limpers. The big blind calls, both the limpers call. Same old situation here, I'm gonna call as well. We're gonna take this one multi-way to see a flop, which, once again, it's looking pretty good from our point of view. It's 6 high, all diamonds. The small blind puts out a c-bet, he makes it $80 to go. The big blind calls, the first limper calls, and the player in middle position, the second limper, he's gonna raise it. He's not too deep. He's gonna put in a raise. He's got a hair over $500 in his stack, and he decides it's all gonna go into the middle here. So a pretty interesting spot. I guess we could go ahead and jam it. It's just gonna look so ultra strong either way. When we flat call, cold call $500 with all this action, all these people behind us. I just decided on a flat call here, but I'm not exactly sure that's the best line because I'm never gonna be getting away, I don't think, facing a raise behind me. Anyway, I decided on the flat call. The blinds make the fold, and the player in between, the first limper, makes the call behind me. I think she's maybe got about $600 in her stack left after this flop call. So we are heads up potentially to a side pot to the turn card, which comes a brick. She checks it over to me, pretty straightforward here with her only having $600 behind. It's going all in. So I go ahead and jam, and she rather quickly makes the call. So we're off to a river card in a pretty sizable pot brewing here, and it is another brick. So I go ahead and show it, and she gives it the head shake. She mucks her hand. The player who jammed the $510 shows us 10-7 of diamonds. King high flush is going to get it done here in this situation. I guess this is sort of a good result and example of why I like to limp a hand, over limp a hand, like King 5 of diamonds. Don't think I need to isolate with it necessarily, but taking it multi-way, some good things can happen as a result. Exhibit A. And by the way, I look like a genius, and I say these things that make me sound like I, you know, foresaw all these things happening, all these things occurring, and it's just run good. It's just pure run good. It's positive variance, and that's all right. I'm happy to take it. So things are obviously looking up here following that not so hot start. I guess when you dust it off with the 3 high, the poker gods reward you a little bit. Next fun hand comes with straddle on to my direct left. I'm in the big blind, and it folds all the way around to the small blind who limps in. I look down at 10-8 of hearts in the big blind, and I decide to put in a raise here, try and knock out the straddler and just go heads up in position versus the limper in the small blind. So I make it 80 to go, and mission accomplished. The straddler folds and the small blind calls. So I think it's a pretty ideal, pretty perfect situation there. Once again, it's just so clear what a genius I am with all these plays that I'm making, especially when the flop comes down Jack 9-7 rainbow. Just flop the absolute joint here. Checks it over to me. I'm gonna put in a small bet here. I bet $60 here, and my opponent takes the bait. He puts in a check raise. He makes it $180 to go. Things you like to see when you're playing 5-10 at the Bellagio for the first time in a decent stretch of time. So yeah, I'm just gonna flat call here. I'm gonna let him, I'm gonna feed him a little bit more rope, and we're off to a turn card, which pairs the board. It's another jack. Not my favorite card, obviously. If you happen to have a set or 2 pair, we're now losing, but he's not actually that deep. I think he's got maybe about $400 here in this spot. He decides that's all going in the middle. He goes ahead and jams it in there, and no choice here whatsoever. Happily tossing the chips. Obviously gonna be losing some percentage of the time, but it is what it is. I go ahead and call. He asks if we wanna run it once or twice. I let him choose, don't really care either way. He decides 2 times is the number. First board brings a second pair on board. It's another 9, so that's not looking too good. And on the second board, it brings 4 to a straight. So that's not the ideal card either. So we could be chopping on that board. And turns out that's not the case whatsoever. Turns out my opponent has pocket aces. Believe it or not, pocket aces somehow in this spot. We were almost the trappee there, isolating the small blind from the big blind in a straddle pot. He goes to set the trap, and it doesn't work out, totally backfires against him, and that's a favorable situation for us. Flop the joint and get the maximum run good. This is what pure, unadulterated run good looks like at the Bellagio. All right, next fun one comes with an under the gun raise to $40 and a call in between before us looking down at ace-6 of clubs. I actually think all options are on the table here. I think 3-bet is fine, depending on the player. This player, I don't think, was getting too out of line, and especially from an under the gun position, raising it, bringing it in from under the gun, not exactly the spot that I'm looking to put in a 3-bet. I decided on a call and try and play in position versus these guys. Suited ace, obviously going to play pretty well multi-way, so I put in the call, and the big blind, I believe, makes the call too. So 4 ways to a flop. This one comes Jack 7-6 with 2 diamonds, and the big blind checks and the initial raiser checks. The player in the middle puts in a bet himself. He bets, I believe, 60 or 70. 70, I think. I think he bets $70. I guess there's some chance we could have the best hand here. He could be betting with a draw. I don't know how great we're going to be against that range. A range of say a flush draw or even a straight draw with 2 overcards. Or obviously better hands, better holdings. But the price seems reasonable. We're still in position, and maybe we can turn it into a bluff later on. So I decided to make the call. Big blind folds, and the initial raiser makes the call. So we are going 3 ways to a turn card, which I think is a good one for us. It's an offsuit ace. This time the action checks all the way over to me, and this is a pretty obvious bet spot here. I want to size up a little bit and try and go for maximum value. Hopefully it's going to look like we have a draw of some sort here and are betting as a bluff, semi-bluff here on the turn. So I bet $210 here on the turn. The initial raiser, under the gun player folds, and the player in between, after thinking for a while, he makes the call. So off to a river card, which I think is a really good river card again. It's an offsuit 8. The draws miss. We should have the best hand here. Pretty unlikely my opponent's gonna have ace 8 here, or pocket 8s, or any hand really that we are gonna be losing to in this spot. So after he checks it to me, I'm gonna bet everything he has left, which is about $600. All the sizings here I think are pretty in line with what's ideal. My opponent is gonna have a tough time getting away from it for this price. The pot has grown to a decent size compared to the size of his stack. So after thinking about it for a little while, he does in fact toss in the call, and we go ahead and show. And once again, we have the best hand here. So just run good is on the menu, delivered directly to your seat from the lovely staff here at the Bellagio Poker Room. Things clicking, everything going our way so far. Again, you know, aside from the 3-high debacle, but everything after that. One more hand to report to you guys. One final hand before we call it a day, call it a night, morning, whatever it is. In this one, the cutoff opens it up for $30, and I'm on the button and looking down at pocket queens. And my opponent in this situation is somebody who is a subscriber to this channel, and he made a comment because I had actually 3-bet him a couple times before that the next time I 3-bet him, he was going to unsubscribe from the channel. So maybe he's actually not watching this anymore. There's a decent chance of that one. Because I do in fact 3-bet him here again, this time to $100, pretty standard size. He thinks about it for a little bit and makes the call. So heads up to a flop, which comes pretty safe for us. Comes jack high. So we have the overpair here in this situation versus a player who is maybe getting a little bit annoyed having to play out of position versus our semi-frequent 3-betting. Checks it over to me. I'm gonna make a standard C-bet here. I bet $120. He makes the call. Turn is mostly a brick. It's a 3 of clubs, I believe, which puts a second flush draw on the board. He checks it over to me, and obviously not gonna do anything other than bet it here. I'm gonna bet $290, trying to get some value from jack, from a flush draw, from a straight draw, or some sort of combo draw. My opponent thinks about it for a decent while, thinking about his options, and he decides on the option of jamming all in somewhere in the neighborhood, I want to say, of $1,200 or $1,300. Pretty sizable raise, and I don't know if it's a snap call, but I'm pretty sure it's not a folds. I think if he flopped himself a set, he would have to certainly consider putting in a raise there. Of course, he could be looking for a safe card on the turn before getting it all in for stacks, wanting to play for stacks. That being said, with all the factors mentioned, the occasional 3-bet happening, the overpair, and a wet board, I think it's just going to be a straightforward call here. So after thinking it over for a little bit, don't want to make any too hasty decisions for over 100 big blinds, but gonna have to make the call here, and that's what I do. Toss in the call, and he asks if I want to run it once or twice. Once again, I say it's up to him, and he decides on 2 times, seeing 2 river cards here. So I believe the first river card was an offsuit ace. Second river card was a 7, an offsuit 7. My opponent announces a pair of 7s. After he makes a pair of 7s there on the river, it looks like he very likely could have had 8-7 of spades. I think that's a pretty reasonable holding, reasonable guess as to what his holding was. Whatever it was, turns out to be second best. The queens hold up in another big pot for us, and run good. Left, right, and center, run good all over the place in this session. We get into this game, this 5-10 game, this 5-10 session for $2,050. Kind of an odd number, but $2,050. Cash out of the game for the grand total of $6,345. We're looking at a profit of $4,295. guys might remember something that occurred, something we discovered actually when we first started this vlog. That something was known as the vlog run good. That was a beautiful thing, very beautiful thing. I think I know what's happened here today, last night, this morning. I think what we stumbled into is some run it up, run good. I think it's a sign, you guys. I think it's a sign that this partnership is going to be the right thing. It's going to be an awesome thing. Looking forward to things to come. This is day one, basically. Obviously, it's not going to be all run good all the time. There will continue to be the usual ups and downs along the way, and either way, hopefully we'll be able to capture a lot more of it. Hopefully we'll be able to share a lot more of it, and a lot more frequently. That's the goal, that's the plan, and I don't know, I got nothing. I'm falling asleep here. It's now 7:30 in the morning. After I told you guys all those hands, I'm going to bed.